When large jobs require moving massive amounts of snow, get the work done quickly and efficiently with the Western Pile Driver and all-new Pile Driver XL pusher plows, both featuring Trace Edge technology. These pushers scrape down to the pavement with an advanced cutting-edge system that has independent 2-foot sections that move vertically, oscillate, and trip. Get more jobs done faster with the Western Pile Driver lineup of pusher plows.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. You know there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey with your host, Dave Westcott. The Entrepreneurial Journey is a weekly podcast that streams live every Tuesday at 9:15 a.m. Pacific on Dave's YouTube channel and LinkedIn profile. Now here's Dave with this week's episode.
Good morning and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm your host, Dave Westcott, and I have with me this morning special guest Joe Sabel, Vice President and co-owner of Western Optical Supply. Joe, good morning.
Dave, thanks so much for this opportunity, man. It's so good to see you again. It's been 2.5 years now since we went through Rise Up Kings together, and you've been just a tremendous friend of mine and mentor. What you're doing in business and everything is been an inspiration to me. So this is an honor for me to be here.
You know what, man? I'm so glad that you're on the show, and I feel the same way. And nothing will be like going back to that beach and doing those sand cookies. And they told me, they texted me, I don't know, a little while ago. And Jeremy texted me and said, we put in a new rule since you left, and it was you have to wear pants during the sand cookie.
Oh, really? Wow. Well, we all got a little exposed. We all got a little exposed that morning. It was that was something else.
It's the sand in the eyes that was the toughest. Like right when you put your face into the sand, yes. And like the sand into the eyes, I think for me was it wasn't the however long we were out there. I think a couple hours, 2.5 hours, maybe an hour and a half. I don't really know, but it wasn't the time. It was the sand in the eyes.
I completely agree. And then that poor Courtyard Marriott, the plumbing, the maintenance guys in that place have got to really love Rise Up Kings and appreciate us when you get in there, all that sand going through those pipes.
Oh, man. And the swamp, like I don't think I had the swamp smell off of me for
absolutely
like days.
I'll never forget too when that first day I came in. I'm just an angry, just quit drinking. I'm just mad, and I'm sitting next to you. We're passing sandbags, getting sprayed by those cold hoses, and I'm just like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
But man, yeah, what an event! What a transformation it had on me. So
it's a huge event, and I think it's Rise Up Kings. We were part of Ruck 29. So if you're out there and you're in business, Christian business owner, even a business owner, check it out. It's a good 3-day event. One thing I will say that I still do from that event is that when I have a leadership meeting, I grab what we do today is we grab a yellow notepad. We grab some pens. We grab like those bags from the grocery store, those 99-cent reusable bags. And we start the leadership team at one end, and then they travel, about, 7,500 feet. And they go to the back, and they've got to grab their bag. They've got to grab a yellow notepad, and they've got to grab a pen. They've got to put the pen in the top left corner. They've got to put the pad into the bag facing towards them. They've got to come back, stand in the exact same place, and the pad has to be standing upright in the bag. And they've got 30 seconds to get it done, front and back. And so you'll get a group of 7 or 8 leaders up there, and you'll be surprised at the frustration, they start yelling at one another, getting frustrated about why can't you do it? How can you not do this simple thing? Then another one of them will screw it up. But the details matter. And so like if I took one big thing away from Rise Up Kings, it was the details matter. And I try to pass that along to the team. I don't know if you have anything like that you've taken or that you've kind of implemented in life, but if so, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, that one too was a major impact for me. The details do matter, and for me, coming in, I was very angry. Just my life's gone through a lot of different challenges, as we all do. But I grew up, very chip on my shoulder guy. I just the world's out to get me, and I've got to prove myself everywhere I go. I never relied on God. It was always on myself and my own abilities, and never surrendered to Him. And that's so for me. One of the biggest impacts is sitting in that ice bath and just letting it all out.
Yeah.
And then also after the sand cookie, getting baptized by Coach Jeremy with all you guys around me, and letting go of just letting go of the unforgiveness I've had in my heart and so forth. So the surrender and just giving it to God to finally say, okay, no, this is I'm following you. That was for me, that was the biggest impact. It did. Now I'll say this, it did take me a little bit of time to really start to implement some things more as a habit base, more consistently across the board. I didn't fully come back and implement a lot of the faith things that we had learned about and so forth until I actually, a couple months later, I saw I didn't join the mastermind, for example, right off the bat. It's so interesting how God puts you on a path, and I hope I'm not going on too big of a rabbit hole here. But so I joined the mastermind after Rise Up Kings. Then it was March of the following year, so about 5 months later, and I remember calling up Skylar, said finally, because I literally, Dave, I woke up at 3 a.m. One morning, and I heard an audible word of trust. And I have no doubt in my mind that was the Holy Spirit. And I told my wife, and she's like, well, sign up. She was, by the way, she was very supportive of me signing up way before that, but she's like, do it. So I call up Skylar and I said, hey, I'm finally in. And Dave, the next day, this is so interesting how God works. I lost my job. I cut that check. I lost my job the next day. So you can imagine then what's going through my head at that point is like, wait, well, God, what is happening here? Yeah. I lost all the equity in my company. I was an executive at a private equity owned firm, helped the company sell from one private equity group to another, was the only executive at the time hitting budget. And yet I'm let go. And I have no doubt that's not a coincidence. It was God just saying, no, you're on my path now. And I'm so glad I did. So then, fast forward a few more months, and we got hooked up with the opportunity my wife and I, to go into business together to acquire Western Optical Supply. And we closed on that, about 7-8 months after that whole event. I mean, wow, it's just amazing.
That's huge.
Praise God. And
so the Rise Up Kings Mastermind is no cheap event, right? It's 18 grand. So you wake up in the middle of the night, you hear God say trust, you get into that, you say, all right, I'm writing the check. You bang out this huge check, which you were already nervous about, thinking about, is this going to be worth it? Oh my God, it's so much money. Bam, you're the only executive on the team, crushing it, hitting your goals, helping the company grow and do the private equity mergers and acquisitions that it's going through. And then bam, you lose the job and you're like,
yes, your face. That's exactly it. It's the wide eyes. It's again, there's no way it was a coincidence. There's no way in my mind. It was
Yeah.
God's plan from the, 100%.
From the start, right? From Jump Street. So you do that, and then you go into business for yourself. You acquire Western Optical Supply. You go into business with your wife, which I'll just say is like no small feat either, right? Like, I mean, there's one thing about going into business, and then there's a whole nother thing about going into business with your spouse.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
that's, people are going to say, man, Joe, you're crazy. Right? And then there's some people who are going to be like, oh yeah, I've been in business with my wife forever and it's the most amazing thing ever. So I think, for the entrepreneurs out there and everybody else, what is it like going into business with a spouse? Like, how did you put that together? What are the rules, what are the rules of the road when you're working with a spouse?
First things first is really to do so. You go into with the mindset that you put your ego and your experience and all of that to the side. It doesn't matter. You're living with this person. She knows what you've done. She knows your positive, your strengths and weaknesses. So it doesn't matter that I just left a 9-figure company and all this stuff. I was running a $130 million revenue division and so forth. That stuff doesn't matter. I mean, it does, but what I'm trying to tell you is from a big picture perspective, you got to set that aside. For me, she was the rock, she was holding my arm and having my back throughout my entire career. So to step back, we were high school sweethearts. We've been married 28 years now. We have 6 kids. And I got her pregnant when I was a senior in high school.
Wow.
And again, I wish I could say I handled it perfectly, but no, I was a weak man, and I tried to run away and all this, but no, I woke up and we ended up getting married when my daughter Madeline was a year old, or not quite a year old, and been together ever since. But she's been a stay-at-home mom our entire marriage, for the most part. So a lot of now society and everybody would tell her, well, she has no college degree, she has no experience and all this, so she can't run a company, she can't, do any of that stuff. Well, I would just say that's complete and utter BS. Yeah. She has seen behind the scenes all the stuff that I've been through, and she was right there supporting and helping me through it, advising me. She's got some great intuition, some of which I wish I would have recognized earlier in so many ways. But I'm learning. It's a constant work in progress. But no, so just number one for me was just to make sure that to set the ego aside and say, no, she is a valuable contributor, first of all. And I want her experience and her input into this. And then secondly, before the entire the close and everything, we went in of the mindset, and I was like, honey, I need you to be fully on board. So if you have any hesitation on this, we are pulling out. I am going to listen to your gut, and we'll pull out. So she went down to the company at that time was based in New Mexico, and she went down. I did not meet the owners other than via Zoom calls and stuff like that, and so I'd not seen the physical location or anything like that because I strategically wanted her to go first, and so I wasn't going to provide her any bias or anything like that. So she went down there, and she was down there for 3 days, I think, and she came back. I said, so what do you think? And she says, honey, we could do this. I think we could do this. And from there, for me, it was like, okay, we're doing this. We're going to do it together. You introduced me as vice president of Western because I strategically set her up as president for the fact that because a number of reasons strategically, but one of the biggest things is just because she's been behind my support structure for so long, and it's time for her to get that recognition, that responsibility that she's earned. and she's more than earning. And a year and a half later now, she is killing it. And the other part of this, so strategically wise, it worked out really well too, is I'm starting to be able to pull back now. I can start to more work on the business and not so much in the business. And because of what she's been doing, and so it works out from just a straight up business sense too, to have her as president now as well.
I love that. That's fantastic. So you have your first daughter, Madeline. You have 6 kids. My first one is a daughter, and her name is Madeline as well.
Nice. I did not know that. Very cool.
Yeah, that's just a crazy coincidence. But that's very cool. So I love that story. Your wife's in there. But what I love is that you said, hey, I set my ego and my experience aside. And isn't that true in so many situations in business, whether we're dealing with a client or sometimes an employee? Like, our ego can really get in the way. It can almost be a hindrance to us. What was it that allowed you to recognize that and say, you know what, I know I got to set this aside. I'm going to do it. And how did you come to that realization? Did someone tell you that? Did you just know it intuition wise? What was it that led you to that?
No, that's a great question. A lot of it just came down to maturity. Just my age and experiences, Rise Up Kings, talking to people, mentors. Long couples have been married for a while, seeing what they are doing and so forth, and straight up and praying about it, and just having the if this was 10 years ago, Dave, there's no way I would have had the same level of maturity and wisdom to know that this is the way it needs to be. I would have kept my ego and my experience, and probably would have kind of pushed her into this, and I don't think it would be going as well by any stretch for both the business and our marriage if that's the way it went.
That's awesome. I love that. So we go back to the moment where the job is lost, the check is written, and then we've got this 7-8 month period here where you're deciding to purchase Western Optical. Now you've got a couple of different options in front of you, and you've probably got, hey, I'm going to go work for another company and do what I've been doing, run a big book of business, run a big business unit. We can start something from scratch, or we can buy something. And it looks like in your decision, you said, hey, there's a business out here. They've got track record. They've got some success. Maybe the owners are actually in there retiring. We don't know. But at the end of the day, you decide to buy. Because I think so many entrepreneurs out there are like, oh man, should I buy something? But if I do, it's going to be too expensive. Am I going to be able to afford it? How am I going to get financing? How am I going to pay for it? And if I start it, I'm going to be making nothing and I can't support myself. So what was what did you go through mentally, and what was kind of the process that led you to not starting from scratch, but purchasing and not going back to work?
Sure. So I did look at honestly starting some things from scratch too. In fact, I talked to Tarek, who went through Rise Up Kings with us as well, on some franchise opportunities and stuff like that. So I was looking at all those things, but I take back my what I was doing for the private equity owned company, where I was very active in mergers and acquisitions, and then integration after that, and then building those into the company and just growing them. So I had a strong comfort level with just building an existing business. So to me, for my experience and my comfort level, I felt that, I'm going to be, while I'm shelling out a lot of money and incurring a significant debt load here to acquire Western, I feel more comfortable with that because it's got a steady income stream coming in that I can still support my family and still service the debt. And then just knowing my experience and my abilities to be able to grow it from there, I felt more comfortable with that than starting something from scratch with with nothing, no revenue, nothing. And just because, again, that's been my experience for about a better part of a decade and a half.
Wow. I mean, that's huge because I just think to myself, like, man, the cojones on this guy, just go in and buy a business, right? Like, to me, that seems so much more intimidating than starting from scratch. Like, oh, I started from scratch and I put some time into it and it worked out or it didn't, or it made this amazing thing. But you just said, nah, man, let's roll. For the entrepreneurs out there, because this is such a unique story. I talk to thousands of entrepreneurs, right? And I'm part of so many organizations and so many groups. And like I talk to entrepreneurs. I want to say that you're the first entrepreneur that I've interviewed, and maybe even that I've spoken with, who's just gone from job to purchasing a unit. So like, I think I love that story, right? Like, it's amazing. I would say for the entrepreneurs out there who are listening, what are the top 2 or 3 things that you really looked for when you made this purchasing decision? Like, there has to be some tricks of the trade that you've picked up over the last decade that gave you that comfort. And for somebody looking to buy, like, what are those couple of things that you have said, hey man, these are the mission criticals that tell me this business is going to be okay?
Sure. I'd say first and foremost for me was the previous owner. The previous owner in this case was such an important piece in the puzzle, probably the most important. What type of a person is, in this case, he like? He was. I loved his name's Joshua. He is a dear, close personal friend of mine still to this day. I talk to him very regularly still. He's very open with giving me advice still and helping me through the tough times and so forth. So for me, it was looking at that owner. What type of an individual is he? And again, in this case, Joshua is just such a giving person. He's such a caring person. He has a very similar mindset as me and heart of a teacher, looking at his customer base as not just people that are writing checks, but actually people that he's helping solve their problems. So I have very similar philosophies on that. What can we do to, it's, for me, sales is honestly about helping people make their lives better. And in this case, what we do is we manufacture optical dispensing tools, so the tools that go in to adjust eyewear and so forth. So for us, we pride ourselves on the designs of our tools, and the quality of our tools are better. And obviously, we're biased, but we're better than our competition, and we teach our customers on why that is, and what that's going to do is make their jobs and their lives easier for their customers.
Sure.
So so Joshua in that case was such a key person to know that once we got to know him really really understand, know him from a personal level, even we knew he was such a good person that this is, that he's not going to just it's not just about an exit. It's just he wants to see a legacy go on, and so that's number one, and that actually kind of goes on a lot from my mergers and acquisitions I was involved with the private equity owned company too. Very similar things. We really wanted to bring their businesses into ours and not lose that culture, not lose that what made that company successful. Was it the people? Was it the products? Was it everything? We wanted to build off of that, those known brands. And so I think that's the key. And so I would sum it up as this: it's not just about the numbers. Obviously, the numbers and the financials, that's absolutely key, but there's so much more, and you gotta look into those gray areas, so to speak, and it starts with the owner, in my opinion.
That's amazing advice. I love that. It's not just about the numbers. It's about getting to know the owner. It's about sitting down with them. It's about developing a personal relationship. What kind of culture are they building? Who are they at? I think that's fantastic. Now, you describe yourself as a servant leader. Can you share with me what that means to you and how your mindset has impacted the teams you've built and the culture that you've been able to foster over the years?
Yeah, yeah. It's for me. It starts with this: lead by example. So that means getting dirty a little bit. Just because you have a title, just because you're wherever, it doesn't. To me, that doesn't mean you can't. If something needs to get done, just get it done and help your team out. So in my experience, in my case, we would in I've been in eye care for almost 2 decades now, and so if you when you go to the eye doctor, the equipment that is used there, we would sell and install all of that, and there's some pretty good heavy equipment
Yeah, there
in
is.
many cases. So if needed be, if we were shorthanded and we had to help a customer get open, because as soon as those doors open, that's when they're bringing it in their money. I was not opposed to moving chairs and stands, 300-pound chairs and stands around. There was a couple times where I even had, I brought my, probably shouldn't say this on live, but I brought my 14-year-old son at the time, and he helped me take out their old chair and stand because our service guy was busy or whatever. And again, the guy needed to open up and wanted his new equipment. And so I brought my 14, took him out of school. So he was stoked about that, and he helped me haul an old chair to stand to the dump while it was a blizzard up in the UP of Michigan. So it's those types of things, I think, that make such an impact and build such a high level of credibility with your team.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I am pretty successful with that. I will continue to lead that way. And also too, I would say is for me is hire people that you think could even be potentially better than you. There's so much at least in the corporate side, that I guess these days I don't necessarily miss so much, is that everybody's trying to get each other, it seems.
Yeah.
But it's such an important thing just to give credit where credit's due. There was a couple major deals that I closed that were the largest in the eye care space at the time.
Wow.
One down near Chicago, one out in California, and it was right after COVID, and major institutions that were opening up. And once those deals closed, while I had a major impact on it, I gave the credit to my salespeople, my sales management at the time. It's not. It's just such an important. They know, God knows what your impact was. It's okay. Set the ego aside and let other people have their due. Is something I'd like to live by, and I will continue to live by.
I love that. I think that's awesome. One of the things that you often hear, and your story is so interesting, and it's so different from the traditional entrepreneur bootstrap. While I was at Harvard Business School, one of the professors said something like this, and it was, many executives who leave the executive space after decades of success become like deer in the headlights when it comes to making critical decisions. They can't move forward, they can't move backward, and often fail in entrepreneurship. And so I've always thought, like, okay, because they have that structure, because they have that background, they don't make decisions fast enough. And it sounds like, from what you've said, like it doesn't matter what the obstacle is in front of you. Hey, you had a client, you needed to get a piece of equipment in, it's 300 pounds, you took your kid out of school. I think that's great, by the way. They need those real life lessons. Yeah. But you're not stuck like a deer in the headlights when it comes to making critical decisions. How are you processing the things that are coming at you, quickly and efficiently? Oh, this decision or this thing bad happened today, or we lost this deal, or this didn't go the way we wanted to, or we let this person go, so that you don't get stuck in the deer in the headlights. How do you process and make decisions quickly to keep your business moving forward?
That's a great question. I wish I could say I handle everything perfectly, Dave, but there's so many moments where Well, even a year ago when I had, 6 months into owning the business after we moved everything from New Mexico up to Wisconsin, there was so many moments where I'm like, oh my goodness, I still got to unpack over here. I got to take care of these customers. I'm just getting overwhelmed. But no decision is the same thing as is actually a decision is something I've tried to live by, and so and I'm trying to also coach my wife with this too. And I said, it's okay, honey, you're going to make mistakes. It's all right. We'll figure it out. The key is to learn from it and move forward from it, and take accountability. So there's been I cannot let anything just sit and not make a decision. Something has to ultimately get done, even if it turns out to be the wrong decision. At least we still did something and we can learn from it. And if we have to take some accountability for it and responsibility and fix it, we will do so. So there's been many circumstances where I've, just made a absolute complete blunder of a mistake, and my customers unfortunately were not real happy, but I took my medicine and made it right, and then some with them, and made sure they were comfortable with it. And so for me, that's been a key. So I would kind of sum it up as to say, it's okay that you are going to fail, you are going to make mistakes, and the key is, what are you going to do with those? What are you going to do after that? So I would say, don't be afraid to make that mistake. Do that versus, just letting something slide, or just not make a decision, or not be just kind of sweeping something under the rug, and just move forward. Just move forward. Just keep going.
There's so many great nuggets to unpack in there. Move forward, take accountability, learn. I mean, we could do a whole show just on those. But, speaking of the deer in the headlights, and just, kind of what the, HBS says, you've been through mergers and acquisitions. You've been to, post-merger integrations. What do most leaders get wrong during these moments, and how can companies navigate change without losing their culture or momentum?
That's a great question. Yeah, the biggest, I would say, I was probably involved with at least well over a dozen mergers and acquisitions, and these are some good sized companies that we brought in. The biggest key, I would say, from the early on merger to later on, is that you need the systems and everything really have to be buttoned up. We talked earlier in the call here about the details matter, right?
Yeah.
There are so many little details, from the ERP to the CRM to all these things, and 9 times out of 10, that company is not going to be on that same system. And so you've got to get them into that system, and it has to happen in a very quick, timely fashion. So there was a few moments, and early on especially, where it just did not have all those ducks in a row of making sure the trainings were all set to a T. As soon as the close happened, that we could flip the switch and turn from Microsoft Navision to SAP as an ERP with that new company, and make sure that, and most importantly, make sure that that team was comfortable making that transition. So there's a lot of hand holding. There's a lot, it's patience. Especially, patience, I would say, is the biggest thing. Is it just doesn't happen. Things don't happen overnight. It takes a lot of time. And as a leader, just be patient and understand that the team is this is huge change, and everybody's afraid of change, and that's okay. And just to let them know that it's okay, and let them know that you're here for them, and let them know that you really we're going to do this right, because you're an important component to this business. You're part of the reason we acquired this, so we want to make sure you're comfortable. So upfront communication, patience, all those types of things are very key.
Those are great insights. I think those are super beneficial to anybody listening. Be patient, work through the integrations, get them moving. Now, you're a business owner, you're successful, you've had a fantastic career. I mean, I've got so many notes here, so many wonderful takeaways, so many things to focus on. Fitness for you is also a big part of your entrepreneurial journey, like staying strong, staying fit, being healthy. We're going to run in the fall 50 together in Wisconsin,
Sure.
right? We're going to do a relay. I'm going to fly into the great state of Wisconsin. I'm going to meet you somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but we're going to run this fall 50, and fitness is something that is important to you. What do you attribute to fitness? Why is it important on the entrepreneurial journey? How do you take care of your body, your fitness, your program, and run a business and take care of family? And how do you fit time to do that in, and why is it important?
It is such a key importance to my success. And here's why. If I'm physically not healthy, I'm going to be mentally not as strong as well. So it's such important to make sure my nutrition's on par. As much as possible. I, of course, have slim slips. I like sugar and so forth. I like my desserts on occasion, but generally speaking, it's such an important thing. And so just educate myself on why that's so important. And then just to be upfront too, I'm 2.5 years sober now. I quit drinking in September, right before we went to Rise Up Kings. I quit drinking because a number of reasons, but just looking at that alcohol, what that I look back and I'm like, man, I was foggy on certain moments.
Yeah.
With talking to my CEO. I remember a couple times I'm like, what the heck was I doing?
Yeah.
I'm slower. I'm this. I'm that. So I look back now, and I'm generally pretty healthy and eating pretty good. I exercise, but how I feel that day when I exercise, I get up at 4 a.m. I get in God's Word. I spend time with Him, and then I get out to the gym. Those mornings, that day, that rest of that day is way different than if I'm sleeping in till 7, 8 o'clock. It is. Even if it's a little bit not on the amount of sleep that I need physically, it can always catch up, I guess, on the weekends is the way I look at it. But how I perform from a business side is just key to how my fitness level is at during those times. So, and to answer your question about the time, yeah, it's not super easy to get their times in. I mean, you're running marathons, man. Those training runs are not short.
Right.
And so we have families, we have businesses, we have all this, but there's time. You can fit it in. You might have to get your butt up at 3, 4, or 5 in the morning. That's just how it is. I don't want to hear people tell me, "Oh, I don't have time to do that." I'm like, really? What if we checked on your time on that? I'm thinking there's time. We got time. Everybody's got time. That's the one commodity we all have. We can fit it in. It's just about how you're prioritizing that. And I just my morning time when I'm getting to the gym and I'm starting my day with God. I cherish those times. I remember Skylar saying that too when we were down at Rise Up King, Skylar Lewis, and he's spot on. It so impacts the rest of your day.
It's what I'm a huge believer in that. I won't say that I'm up at 4 o'clock every day, but a lot of my customers are on the East Coast, and so 7 o'clock is 4 a.m. So I would say that in a given work week, 3 to 4 days out of that week, I'm rolling at 4 a.m. and the other 1 to 2 days is somewhere between 5 and 5:30. I think owning that time in the morning is mission critical to success. And I would say too, like the first thing that happens, in my mind is prayer. Like I might spend an hour in prayer before I even start the day, like just getting my mind right. And then, I believe God inhabits the praises of His people. So I want to start in praise and worship, and then into devotion, and then into journaling, and then Bible. So like I might be up and rolling at 4, but I might not have started work until 6:30 or 7. Like there's a period of time, but it's that reset time. It's that calibration time that enables you to walk into the day and really handle what's in front of you. So I
Absolutely
love what
spot
you
on.
do. I love what you do. I got 3 more questions here as we start to bring this in for a landing. What is Western Optical? What do you do? What do you sell? Tell us a little bit about the business.
Sure. So Western Optical Supply, westernoptical.com is our website. We actually manufacture optical dispensing tools. So we manufacture pliers, certain very technical, it's not like a plier you're buying from a Home Depot or something. They're very specific, and there's a lot of different ones that we sell that have certain um, jobs to adjust eyewear in a certain fashion and types of eyewear. So there's all sorts of different frames and so forth there and materials. So we manufacture the tools that actually adjust that to fit a person's face properly. And then also the wholesale laboratories that manufacture the lenses that go into the eyewear use ours to put the frames and lenses together.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of a niche business, but we sell all around the world. Actually, our majority of our business is here in the States, but we have one of our really cool products is called a hot box. It's a frame warmer, so it heats up the sides of the frames to make it moldable. We are the only company in the actual world that makes it. There's no
Wow.
even Chinese knockoffs or anything like that. So it's kind of cool to pride ourselves a little here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We are the only company in the world that manufactures these.
Wow, that's an awesome business. I love a niche business because you're not trying to be everything to all people. You know who your client is. You know what you're going after. You know what you're going to hunt and kill. You got a whole plan there. And, there's some great businesses in Wisconsin. Like you've got Douglas Dynamics, which is huge, one of the biggest snowplow manufacturers in the world. You've got Harley Davidson, right? You got some great stuff down there. You a Green Bay Packers fan?
Absolutely, Dave.
All right.
100%.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, during the fall 50, I think I texted you. It would have been nice that, unfortunately, the Packers are away that weekend. Otherwise, I would have hooked you up and we could have gone to a game.
It would have been. It would. That's a great field to see a game. I mean, I've never seen a game there, but I hear and see, and like what a great experience. That's
it's awesome.
Yeah, I wish that we could do that. All right, I've got 2 final questions. What tip in business would you give to any entrepreneur listening to this show who's building a business, in business, buying a business? What do you think is the most important tip that you could leave with anybody today?
Most important tip. That's a good one. I would say it's resiliency. It's having a strong gut and just if you know what your calling is, if whether I'm a faith guy as you are, where I believe in God, and I feel his calling for me is here, and it's helping for me. I love helping people, even if it's through my business, as I mentioned earlier. So I feel that's my calling. So that's it's just knowing that path, and if that's your path, if you know that that's your path, whatever it is, just you got to grind it out, man. There's no easy way. You got to grind, and we're grinding every day. We're still grinding. We're still trying to build in this. It's a year and a half in. There are days where I don't want to grind, but those, that's what I would say is the days that when you don't want to grind, it's kind of like exercise too. When you don't want to work out and you work out, how much better you feel. Same thing when you grind, when you don't want to grind, that makes a major impact, because I promise you 99% of people out there are probably not grinding. So you're going to get ahead on that.
Yeah, that's true.
Keep pushing.
It's true. Those are character building moments, right? When you're building the business and you are beat down and you're tired and you don't want to grind, but you go out and grind anyway, you build character, you build muscle memory. It's like when you're training for a marathon and you know that you've got a big 15-mile run or a 17-mile run on a Saturday and you haven't had a lot of sleep and you've been on business trips and you're sick. and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to get out there and do this? Like, you still got to get it done. Even if your times are slow, even if you're walking the last 5 or 6 miles, like, it doesn't matter. It's getting the miles under your feet. It's getting the repetition. It's building that muscle memory. I think that's a fantastic tip you've laid out for any entrepreneur out there. Final question, and my favorite question. You've got a whiteboard. You've got a billboard. Everybody can see it. It gets one sentence, one word, one phrase. What are you telling the world, and why are you sharing it with the world?
So I actually have in our warehouse, my wife and I had this kind of our vision for 2025. We wrote this down, and we do want to impact lives. So we want to send people down to Ruck. So we're that's our goal. That's on there. We want to impact men's lives, young men's lives, and use our business to do that. So to be able to give back to them and invest in the younger generation, especially, but and we hope to be able to send some employees down. So as we grow, we want to impact their lives as well. So it's really about impacting his kingdom, and how we're going to do that. Well, I so believe in what Rise Up Kings is doing. So if we can use our business to be able to send people down, we'll do that.
Now, am I correct in that you sent your boys down to Ruck, right? Like they've gone through the 3-day challenge.
Yes, in fact, believe it or not, Dave. So my 26-year-old son, Matt, went to the Forge in January. So the second thing.
Yep.
And then last week, he just got back. He just went to Life by Design, so which is like the next level. So he's 2 levels ahead of me now. I haven't even gone to the Forge yet. So I'm like, he's way. He's just. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of Charlie. Both him and Matt and their impact. Charlie's actually going to the Forge in August. My 21-year-old, and they. I'm so proud of them and their willingness to go, first of all, but also to know, being a young dad, I know I said, guys, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I know I made so many mistakes and I caused a lot of traumas for you and all this. And so when you go down, just let it all out and don't worry about it. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about it. It's not going to offend me. I know I messed up. So just go and let it out. And man, they have taken it and run. My son-in-law, my daughter got married in last October. My oldest daughter, Madeline.
Wow.
And so one of the wedding gifts, I sent him down. So he went last November as well. So I'm very proud of him as well, and the impact he's having on his new family with my daughter.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I mean, this has just killed me. My youngest son is named Charlie.
No kidding. All right. Let's. Nice.
I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point. Like,
that's good stuff.
That's crazy. All right. So anybody out there that's looking for product, looking at your business, that, wants to see your business, how do they see your business? What's the website? How do they find it?
Yeah, so it's westernoptical.com is our website. We are on the social media platforms for the most part, but probably the biggest way is find me on LinkedIn. I've got a really strong following on LinkedIn. And it's Sabel for those of you who that's my last name. So just search out Joe Sabel. I'd love to connect with you and get to know you more.
Awesome. You heard it there. Joe Sabel, connect with him. This has been the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm your host, Dave Westcott. Find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere it's social. I'm hanging out. If you like this show, give us a like, give us a share, drop your comments into the comment box. We are back 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every single Tuesday. Check us out. Joe, it's been amazing to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. I've learned so much from you today. It's been absolutely incredible. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Dave. Take care.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations, so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. There's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Introducing the all-new Western Enforcer V-Plow. Engineered with all the features, efficiency, and performance of full-size Western V-Plows, built specifically for your half-ton truck. For more information, visit westernplows.com.